there's been some things that you have predicted correctly over the past 30 years, particularly, I guess, over the past 15 years. I mean, you predicted COVID, exactly how the deep state, the globalist deep state, was going to use a virus that they engineered to unleash tyranny on us. You predicted, and this is the one that I think is the funniest, because that clip of you goes around every year or so about the fluoride turning frogs gay, and people made so much fun of you, and it turns out the studies actually show that's true now, which just can't beat that. That's so funny. You also, on a more somber note, predicted 9/11, the 9/11 attacks, almost exactly how they happened. Airliners being hijacked into the World Trade Center. And listen, Tucker Carlson tells me that you are a prophet for predicting something like that. I have to ask you in a little bit more practical of a sense, how did you come to that conclusion? How were you able to predict that specific event? Because the answer to that question is key to asking you what's going to come after this.
Well, that's a really good question. 95% of it is just the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Endowment, and they run the CIA. They make the decisions. The big tax-free foundations, Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, and a few others. For really 100 years, since the 20s, they've made the decisions. And this is all in mainline policy reports. It's not hidden. It's kind of PhD level stuff. So I set out decades ago to learn who runs things, and it's just they talk about it like we're children, or they're speaking another language, we don't hear it. So on the COVID thing, they said we're going to use Disease X to lock down society, to end the capitalist society, and to break the work ethic. And we're going to use masks and lockdowns and banning sporting events. And we're going to use that to introduce totalitarianism for carbon lockdowns that are going to come. That was 2010. So I'd love to say, oh, I'm so incredibly smart. No, in the full report, I'm reading the Rockefeller Operation Lockstep plan and others on air, and then knowing that they are in charge. So that was an issue. So then later, people find that, 12, 13 years later, and of course they cut out the part where I'm reading the report because it makes it more amazing, like I'm Nostradamus. Okay, no, well, what stops the tyranny is people learning the documents. And it's been the same basically on every major issue. And then a lot of it is dead reckoning and being immersed in this. I mean, I remember 2 weeks ago, or now 16 days ago, I could tell by Biden's signals he was going to step down. And I figured it'd take about 2 weeks for him to get backroom deals and agreements. He'd still be president, but he would not be the nominee. So I sat there in a break and I went, bet he takes 2 weeks and I bet he drops out on the weekend. So I said on the 20th or 21st, he'll drop out, I think, in 2 weeks. And that was just me, like, learning the rhythm of politics about, so a lot of it's like sitting at the beach for hours, you're watching the waves come in, and your kids are building sandcastles, you just kind of learn, like, oh, it seems like every 20th wave's really big, and they get smaller, they get bigger. You're just kind of the rhythm of things. And so 95% of what I do is just their own admissions. You just got to actually believe what they're saying. And then the rest of it is just picking up the rhythm. But yeah, now on 9/11, it's a long story, but they were all over the news saying bin Laden's about to attack and bin Laden's about to kill you. And they were hyping it up. There were thousands of data points went into it. And then I knew the feds had tried to blow up the World Trade Center the first time in 1992, right before Bush left office, Herbert Walker Bush. And then I just knew a lot of the angles that were going on. And then it just came to me. I was like, I bet they try to hijack jet airliners and fly in the World Trade Center. And maybe that was in the ether because I wasn't an X-Files fan. But months before I said that, they had an X-Files episode, a spinoff called Lone Gunman, where the government hijacks a jumbo jet to fly in the World Trade Center to declare martial law and launch war in Afghanistan. Now, right after it happened, everybody said, hey, have you seen this? And then Chris Carter later came out and said the CIA came to him and told him to do that production. That's in like, whatever the Hollywood newspapers were. I think it was in Variety at the time. So maybe I am psychic, and I was picking up other people that had seen the show, but I really wasn't a fiction guy. I mean, I'd go see Gladiator back then, or I'd go see movies, but I was not a fiction. I didn't watch soap operas. I didn't watch TV shows. I was a news junkie. That's basically all I did. But occasionally, I was on vacation and watched an old Gunsmoke, episode or something if I saw it on TV in a hotel room. But not a big fiction consumer. Certainly not a connoisseur. So I'd love to build myself up. Forget Alex Jones. Talk to Chris Carter. He had a show 6 months before 9/11 of basically exactly what happened. So This stuff is out there. But when it comes to calling Biden stepping down to the exact day, that is my understanding now. It's gotten way more advanced. And there's a lot of other angles to this. You know, I said 1 month before Tucker got fired, which when he was really convinced, we talk all the time, but he called me and said, how'd you call that? And I said, man, I saw you on TV exposing Big Pharma and the war. And I said, no way this guy's still on air. He'll be fired. Because I was watching the show the next day. I hardly ever watch it live on TV. I was watching it like 6 a.m. when I got up the next morning. And I said, there's no way the deep state's going to fire him. It'll probably take Murdoch a month to make the decision. So it was just a gut thing. And so I went on the air the next day and I said, within 1 month, Tucker will be fired. 29 days later, he was fired. And Tucker's like, okay, or who are you talking to? And I was like, I just said that. And it's not like I just say a lot of stuff. It's like, it is getting crazy how these predictions are coming true.